Friday, 5:47 p.m. Maya's laptop was already closed when her manager leaned over the cubicle wall. "You're not doing anything this weekend, right? I just need one quick favor." Maya was doing something. Her sister's birthday trip was booked. The hotel deposit was paid. Her bag was in the car. The honest answer needed 6 words. "No, I can't cover this weekend." But those 6 words felt more dangerous than losing an entire weekend. Why? Because Maya's brain was not calculating hours. It was calculating rejection. And the yes she was about to use to protect the relationship would quietly damage it. So Maya smiled and heard herself say, "Sure, I can make it work." By midnight, she had canceled the trip, lost the deposit, and started resenting a manager who had no idea she wanted to say no. "Hey, I'm Sparky. I'm a robot, so when I lack capacity, I display an error message. Humans apparently prefer to accept the request, overheat in private, and call that being easygoing. In the next few minutes, you'll see why no can trigger a social alarm, why the person asking often cannot feel the pressure they created, and a 5-step way to protect your time without turning every boundary into a battle. Let's open you up. The first wire is the rejection alarm. Humans do not experience social connection as a decorative bonus. Belonging, approval, and cooperation matter. So when a choice could disappoint someone, your mind may treat it as more than a scheduling decision. It can feel like a threat to your place in the group. Researchers have demonstrated this with an almost comically simple game. Participants tossed a virtual ball with 2 other players. Then the other players stopped throwing the ball to them. That was it. No public insult, no ruined career. Just computer-generated strangers refusing to pass a digital ball. And people still reported feeling worse, with less belonging and less control. In one early study, excluded participants also conformed more on a later task. Other research has found that social rejection can recruit some of the same systems involved in the distressing side of physical pain. The neural story is complicated, and rejection is not identical to an injury. But the useful point is simple. Social pain is not imaginary just because nothing touched your skin. Therefore, when your manager asks for Saturday, part of you may hear a second question underneath it. Are you still helpful? Are you still one of us? Will I think less of you? Nobody said those words, but your alarm does not wait for a signed statement. It predicts the social cost, then pushes you toward the fastest way to make the tension stop. Yes, that explains why refusal feels bad, but it does not explain why the person asking often seems completely unaware of it. The second wire is a perspective gap. The requester sees a choice. The target feels a scene. Imagine I ask you to complete a survey. From inside my metal head, the request has 2 equal buttons, yes and no. If you are busy, just press no. Very efficient. But from your side, I am standing in front of you. I am waiting. You can see my hopeful little screen. Refusing now means interrupting the social script, disappointing me in real time, and possibly looking selfish. That pressure is easy to miss when you are the one doing the asking. Across field and laboratory studies, people asking strangers for help underestimated how often those strangers would agree. In some studies, the gap was enormous. Other experiments found that people even underestimated their influence when they asked someone to tell a white lie or damage a library book. The requesters were focused on their own fear of being rejected. Therefore, they failed to fully appreciate the target's fear of doing the rejecting. There is an important limit here. Communication medium matters. Face-to-face requests can create stronger immediate pressure than an email from a stranger. Power matters too. A request from your roommate is not the same as a request from the person who controls your schedule. But in ordinary moments, the mismatch is powerful. The asker thinks, they can always say no. The target thinks, if no were really acceptable, why does saying it feel like I just kicked a puppy? And then comes the word that quietly loads the trap. Just. Can you just stay late? Can you just drive me? Can you just review this tonight? Just makes the task sound small, but your calendar does not care how small it sounded. Therefore, a 10-second request can become 6 hours of your future. And now the stakes move from belonging to identity. The third wire is the character verdict. Most people do not want to be helpful once. They want to be a helpful person, reliable, generous, easy to work with, the friend who shows up. Those identities can guide beautiful behavior, but when they become rigid, every request turns into a test. If I say yes, I am generous. If I say no, I am selfish. Notice what disappeared: capacity, timing, prior commitments, whether the request is reasonable. Your brain converted a decision about Saturday into a verdict about your entire character. That is why you start building a courtroom brief before anyone has accused you. I would help, but my sister only turns 30 once, and the hotel is non-refundable, and I already drove last month, and my tire pressure is doing something weird. You keep adding evidence because you are not only declining the task, you are trying to prove you are still good. But every extra reason creates a new handle for negotiation. The hotel can be canceled. Your sister will understand. We can fix the tire. Therefore, over-explaining can turn a boundary into a puzzle the other person is invited to solve. Worse, if no feels incompatible with being kind, you may reach for a fake excuse. Now you have protected your image by giving the relationship less truth. And that leads to the part nobody puts on the invoice. The fourth wire is the hidden cost of the protective yes. A reluctant yes feels cheap because the awkwardness disappears immediately. The requester relaxes, you look helpful, the room returns to normal. But the cost was not erased. It was transferred to your future self. Future you has to cancel the trip, do rushed work, miss sleep, break a different promise, or show up with the warmth of a printer jam. Then resentment arrives, not because the other person crossed a boundary they could see. Often you never showed them one. You said yes with your mouth and expected them to detect the no in your posture, your pause, or the microscopic collapse behind your eyes. They cannot manage information you did not give them. So the protective yes creates a strange loop. You say yes to preserve the relationship, but therefore you become less honest inside it. You avoid 10 seconds of disappointment, but create days of irritation. You promise help, but may deliver it late, badly, or with anger attached. A clean no can sting once. A resentful yes charges interest. Now, some fear is realistic. Saying no can carry consequences in a coercive relationship, an unsafe home, or a workplace with a serious power imbalance. This is not a command to confront someone when your safety, housing, or income is at risk. In high-stakes situations, support, written policy, documentation, or qualified guidance may matter more than a clever sentence. But for the ordinary requests where you do have a choice, your nervous system still needs evidence that a boundary is survivable. So here is the fifth wire, the refusal protocol. Step 1. Pause before you price your future. If you tend to answer automatically, do not decide inside the pressure bubble. Say, "Let me check, and I'll get back to you by 3. That is not avoidance if you actually return with an answer. It separates the request from the reflex. Step 2. Put the decision before the explanation. I can't cover Saturday. Not 12 sentences of weather before the forecast. The other person should not need to excavate your answer. Step 3. Add warmth without inventing evidence. I know the deadline is tight, but I can't stay late tonight. Warmth says, I see your situation. The boundary says, I am not available to solve it this way. Both can be true. Step 4. If they push, repeat instead of expanding. I understand. I still can't cover Saturday. New reasons create new negotiations. The same calm sentence keeps the information stable. Step 5. Offer an alternative only if it is real. I can't do Saturday, but I can swap Thursday. An alternative is generosity when you have capacity. It is not a mandatory tax you pay for the right to decline. Then practice on small things. Decline the store receipt. Skip the group order you do not want. Tell a friend, I can't tonight, but thank you for asking. You are not trying to become cold. You are collecting ordinary evidence that disappointment is not always rejection, awkwardness is not always danger, and a relationship can survive accurate information. A boundary is not a punishment. It marks where your yes is actually reliable. Maya's mistake was not caring about her manager. It was assuming care required a false answer. A better response would have cost her a few uncomfortable seconds and saved everyone from a weekend built on hidden resentment. That alarm does not mean you are broken. It means you are wired to protect connection, sometimes before checking the evidence. You're not broken, you're wired that way. And now that you can see the wiring, you can change the pattern. And watch what happens when saying no still feels impossible. A lot of people reach for something that seems safer. I have an appointment. My phone died. I never saw the message. The boundary turns into a lie, even when the truth would take fewer words. That is the next piece of wiring. Why people lie when the truth is easier, and why the lie is almost never about the facts. I've already cued it for you right here. I'm Sparky. Subscribe, and I'll see you inside your head next time. Good night.